forward to game week here. You know, we've had a good preseason, and I think that the guys are ready to get to work here. And in terms of playing their first game, going on the road is going to be a challenge for us. You know, first time in a while we played in front of a packed house, which I'm sure it will be on the road, night game against a very, very good opponent. So had a really good weekend of practice, and now you know, we're not too far away from game day. So I know the guys are excited about it and looking forward to prepare over the next couple days.
We'll open it up for questions. Second row middle, Dave.
Ryan, for whoever is the number 2 quarterback for you, is the plan that they would only play if CJ gets hurt or the game is out of hand, or might you play the number 2 quarterback when the game is on the line just to get them maybe battle tested?
Yeah, that's not the plan right now. Yeah, it would just be if we needed to.
And do you have a number 2 quarterback yet?
Not yet. No, I mean we're still working through that. Both of those guys have had really you know, meaningful snaps over camp, and so as we get closer to the game and preparation continues, you know, I'd like to sit here and tell you that I think that one guy's ahead of the other, but it's actually not the case. It'd make my life a lot easier, but right now I wouldn't say that there's one guy ahead of the other.
Third row right over there, Dylan.
Obviously, DeJuan James had a great camp. If the goal being to get your 5 best offensive linemen on the field at the same time, is DeJuan one of your best 5 offensive linemen?
We'll see as we get in towards game time, but he's had a very, very good camp, and you know, we've moved some different guys around, like you said, but I'm very, very, you know, impressed with his approach every day, the way he's worked, the way he's developed over the last 3 years. So you know, we'll continue to work through and see how the next couple of days go, but I'm very, very impressed with him and excited to see how he plays.
Second row right, Joey.
Ryan, any update on EA, just his availability?
No, unfortunately we don't. You know, they asked for some, the NCAA asked for some additional, you know, information. So I guess they're still working it over, but unfortunately we don't have any more information even as we're headed into the game here. So difficult spot for him and us as we're waiting to hear the decision, but we're still optimistic that we get good news.
Does it have to get settled before the season, or is it something that could be determined September 10th, September 17th, or like?
Yeah, again, we're just kind of, you know, patiently waiting because that affects, you know, that if he is eligible, then he has an opportunity to be on scholarship. If he isn't, then he has to figure out what the next step for him is, and so again, we're just kind of waiting on that.
Third row left, Jacob.
Yeah, hey Ryan, you kind of touched on it in your opener. You know, you're opening against a conference opponent, and being the first time for you to do that, just how does that change your preparation? Just how impactful was that for you?
It started back in the spring. We talked about this right from the jump. When we started that first practice in the spring, we knew when we saw the schedule that this was going to be something we had to get game ready early in the season. And we'll come right out of the gates with a conference game on the road with a, you know, freshman quarterback or a young quarterback and you know, young linebackers and some guys that haven't played a lot of football. So it was a challenge, you know, this spring to spend a lot of time on fundamentals and techniques, and then this preseason get as many game reps as we possibly can. We tackled a decent amount in the preseason, so feel great about that. We put in a lot of hard work, a lot of physical practices out there. So I'm proud of the work we put in. I mean, I feel good going into this game, but you just don't know what you got until you get out there.
Third row right, Jeremy.
Ryan, with recruiting visits and stuff starting to get back to somewhat normal, obviously I think the expectation will be that visitors have to wear masks inside the buildings, but other than that, has there been any guidelines from the NCAA about what to expect for unofficial visitors, official visitors, limits, et cetera, for the season?
Yeah, I mean, assuming right now where we're at, that it's going to be similar to the way it was in the spring when we did have, you know, June visits. And so, you know, excited to have people back on campus to be able to see games. And I think, you know, it'll probably be very similar to the way it was in June.
Is there any numerical limit you guys have been given, like on a per weekly basis, about how many you can structure in or fit in?
Per week, no. No, obviously we still have our limits in terms of official visits on a calendar year, but no limitations in terms of on a weekly basis right now.
Second row middle, Bill.
Ryan, what are you most excited about for Thursday, and what are you most nervous about?
Excited to just get going and find out what we have and start to you know, solve all the things that need to get fixed, because you don't know till you get out there. And that's coaching. That's the fun part about coaching. The hard part is, you know, you're not allowed to lose around here. So you gotta win. You gotta find a way to win the game and get out of that you know, environment 1-0. And I told the team the other day, the first meeting of the week, is that that's the goal here, is to go 1-0. There's no other expectations. You don't know how it's gonna go. And whether we go up, we go down, it's even, we're gonna get that game to the fourth quarter and then find a way to win the game. And that's the only expectation right now, but that is the exciting part is, you have a new challenge year in and year out and finding where guys are and then you build as the season goes on.
You haven't talked a lot about Minnesota. What stands out about them? Obviously, it's a veteran team, and they've got that. What kind of stands out about them?
Like you said, a veteran team that has experience. 2 years ago, they were a top 10 team in the country, and a lot of those guys are still on the team. Certainly the quarterback and running back's a very good player, and they're very, very well coached. PJ does a good job there, and they play hard, take care of the football, fundamentally sound. They make you earn it, and so it's a combination of all those things. And then going on the road to their place, first game of the year.
Third row left, Dan?
Ryan, Minnesota's running back was second in the country last year in rushing yards per game. How concerning is that going against that when you do have such an inexperienced linebacker group?
Well, I think that, anytime you're playing in the Big Ten, you're gonna go against really good running backs. We've played against good running backs before, but this guy is built low to the ground, he breaks tackles, and so when you look at this past week, I think in the 7 games that were played, there was 56 explosive plays. I think a lot of that was probably some missed tackles along the way, so that's why we spent a lot of time tackling in the preseason. And we got to do a good job of getting them down, and there's a lot of different ways that we're going to look to do that. But he's a very good running back. He runs hard. Their offensive line does a good job of getting movement. We're going to have to defeat blocks and tackle well.
I know Taraj, this guy's going to be a leader at that linebacker spot. Who else do you feel good about there going into this first game?
Yeah, I feel good about Tommy Eichenberg. You feel good about, like you said, Taraja, Dallas, Cody Simons. Steel Chambers is going to get in there. Kayvon Pope will be in some different spots. I mean, we have some depth there, but like you said, at some point, those guys have to go in there and play and produce because they have some guys with big shoes to fill.
Far left, Brendan?
Coach, how much, when you're going into the first game of the year and you don't have game film from this season, you're prepping for an opponent, how much do you look at film from last year versus trying to just focus on what you want to accomplish in the game?
A little bit of both. I think that when you go into a first game, you have to kind of, go off a little bit what they did last year, but know that you're going to get change-ups along the way, and you're going to have to adapt, and you're going to have to communicate in game and figure out what those adjustments are. And we're expecting some different change-ups from them, and we have some for them as well, and that's kind of how it goes. It's that back and forth, but at the end of the day, you have to be able to execute the plays that and that's what preseason and spring's been all about. But in game, being able to adjust to what the changes are is important.
In that regard, is preparing for the first game of the year the most difficult because of the lack of game film? Is that fair to say?
I don't know. I mean, it's similar, I guess, to a bowl game where you have a lot of time to prepare, and you also can overthink things on both sides of the ball. But it's not that it's more difficult because you have more time to prepare. Sometimes the more difficult games are those ones that get on you quick. Coming back from a late game and then having to maybe play a noon game or something like that in the next week. But it's unique in that you don't know. There's the element of the unknown.
Second row right, Austin?
Ryan, what made Thayer the pick for Walkout?
I just think that, first off, he's from Ohio. Secondly, he's been through a lot in his career. This is a guy who wasn't very highly recruited. Had to lose a bunch of weight to even earn a scholarship here. Had a back injury along the way. Overcame a lot of obstacles, and he's done everything the right way. He decided to come back for another year, and he just has the respect of everybody around here. It really exemplifies everything that Bill Willis stood for. And so, Jonathan Cooper, I thought, was the great first recipient of the Bill Willis Award, but I think that Thayer's going to do the same.
Sure, you'll wait till the availability report comes out on Wednesday, but if he couldn't go, is Matt Jones in line at left guard, or do you know how that would play out if he wasn't available?
He's going to be available, but if he wasn't, we have some good, solid backups behind him.
Second row left, Bill?
Ryan, you said maybe a week or two ago that you had some linebackers kind of in and out with nagging kind of injury things. Where does that position stand right now from a health standpoint?
Pretty good. I feel pretty good going into the game. I think this past week we've gotten healthy, and we put 2 hard physical practices in this weekend, and the pads come off today, and we kind of have a hybrid practice today, but the pads will be off, and the goal is to be done off the field with the physical part of practice by noon on Sunday. We did that, and now it's a long time until Thursday night, but we'll have a really spirited helmet practice today, same thing tomorrow, and then we get on the road, obviously, and head up there and have best, usually we call it best Fridays in football, best Wednesdays in football, so it'll be unique, but a lot of time to prepare. And I think coming out of the weekend, the way we did, to your point, I think that we're gonna, pretty healthy heading into the game at linebacker.
And then, Master and Mayan and Trey and Marcus, like, how do you feel that quartet, I guess, kind of performed in camp, and do you have a feel for right now how you think that's gonna settle itself out when you start putting guys in the game?
Yeah, like, they all bring different things to the table. I think that Tony's done a great job. I think they all pull for each other. There's not a lot of, selfishness in that room. And I think that's one of the things about having a strong unit is having unselfish guys in there, and they've done that. They all have different skill sets. Mayan and Master have played the most, so they master the most. Mayan's played some, but they were in big spots. Clemson game had a few carries, and then Marcus played a little national championship. Trey's done a really good job as well. So, early on, the guys who have played a little bit will lean on them, but Trey's gonna get in there quickly, and we'll roll those guys and kind of see how the game plays out a little bit. But we're gonna play depth at that position.
Right next door, Steven?
I don't know if it's not a dumb way to ask this question, but there's always turnover in college football, but I mean, the top 3 teams in college football right now are turning over at the same time, pressing the reset button at quarterback. Is that a unique thing that you've seen in your coaching career, to see this many teams have a reset button, basically?
I think it's hard because, really good quarterbacks leave after the 3rd year. So the turnover is like almost every year, every 2 years. And that's a challenge. I mean, it really is a challenge to develop a young quarterback and bring him along. And there's just a lot of things along the way that they have to learn. And so, the minute you get them to where you want, they're off to the NFL. And, I think that a lot of programs share that same, not frustration, it's just the way it is. So we have to embrace that and continue to develop young quarterbacks. And that's a big part of it. But it's not just quarterbacks, it's a lot of other positions as well. Guys have the opportunity to move on, and then you have to just replace guys, and that's where recruiting is so important. So you can get frustrated with it, but the bottom line is you just have to adapt and keep moving forward.
Does it lessen the challenge at all when everybody else is doing the exact same thing at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, you see it, so you just have to continue to adapt to it and adjust the best you can, and that's why it's so important to come out of the gate strong and have a great preseason and become game ready early on, and you can get out of the gates fast.
Second row middle, Nathan.
We had heard, on the quarterbacks, we'd heard that through that process, you were kind of trying to rattle those guys a little bit, I guess, to sort of, see how they would respond to that. How much of that was for your pressure testing that you had to do to pick a starter, and how much of it was what a team would see from those scenarios and what they would gain from that?
Yeah, I don't know who told you that, but if that's rattling them, wait till they get into a game and go 3 and out. It's hard to be a quarterback around here, and so it's our job as coaches to make sure that the practice is a lot harder than the game. If you can survive practice, then the game's easy. And so we have to, and it's like that at every position. You have to understand the consequences. It's not just, well, I'll just get the next play. Sorry, it doesn't work like that. And that's what competitive excellence is all about. So, that's our goal here, and always has been, to make whoever it is, whatever position, practice harder than the game.
What did you like about CJ's response to those scenarios?
I think he's had good days, he's had bad days, but he's grown every day. He's come in, he has an edge, he wants to do really good. He's very competitive, and so now it's time to go put it on the field. He's gonna have to, work through all the things of being a quarterback, like, when to take care of the ball, when to cut your losses. He's gonna get hit along the way. He's gonna have to show toughness, just like Justin did last year. All the things that will come along with playing, and he will. I think, we all believe in him. I think the team believes in him, and we're all there to help him.
Did you need to see a response from the rest of the team to him? Is that something you're trying to pay attention to through this process? Like who the guys are responding to?
I think that there's all pieces of the puzzle. It's a big giant, picture, and you use different things to try to piece that together. And some guys are good at some things, and other guys need a little help in other areas, and you just continue to develop them.
Over here, far right, Whitney.
Hey, Ron, you mentioned that prepping for this game goes all about to the spring, and it's been, a while to get here. Do you like starting the season in conference play and getting going quickly, something for the guys to really prep for, or would you rather ease in just a little bit?
I'll tell you after Thursday night's game. If you win the game, then you got one in your pocket. Obviously, if you don't, then you got a lot of work to do. But whether you like it or not, it is what it is, and we just have to figure out, every year what the schedule looks like and how to adapt to it. And a lot of that is, you know, who you play early, but a lot of it too is your team. You know, do you have a veteran team coming back? Do you have some young guys at certain spots, and how do you bring them along? Because we do have some veteran players here too that I think have been practicing really, really well, and it's gonna be important when you go to an environment like this, that they play in these environments to play veteran and to show leadership, and that's something that we really need going into this game. You know, guys like Chris Olave and Zach Harrison, and, you know, Haskell Garrett, and, you know, people who have played in these environments. Even Josh Proctor's played in a bunch of big games. You know, when you look up to a guy who's been in the spot before and been in big games and played night games and conference games, there's a little bit of, you know, confidence that can come off of those guys, and that they can impart to the other players. And so that's something we're looking for when you open up a game like this.
And some of the young guys that you have been watching during the summer fall camp, Jack Sawyer, are we gonna get to see him in this first game, you think?
Yeah, I think so. We're gonna play depth there, and Larry's gonna, you know, travel maybe, you know, 12 or 13 of those D linemen. You know, we're limited on how many guys we can bring, and actually we have a lot of depth there, so you know, we're gonna have to make some hard decisions as we head over the next couple of days. But if they're going on the bus and they're coming on the plane, then we're gonna put them in the game.
Deep right, Spencer.
Ryan, you talk about Jack playing depth and the game guys on the defensive line. When you're trying to replace a guy like Tommy, you're going against a heavy run team like this. What have you seen out of Teron and those guys, Antoine in the middle, that makes you think that they can play beside Haskell and make it?
I mean, I've been impressed with our day-to-day work, that our offensive line and defensive line have gone at it pretty hard, especially in the preseason. And Antoine and Teron, Haskell, Ty Hamilton, even the young guys have done a nice job. Tyleek and Mike Hall, you know, just see those guys getting off the blocks, getting you know, getting pushed back, running to the football, and there's some depth there, so they can play fresh. I think that's important. You know, I think, like you said, you know, to have, you know, 50 or 60 plays on one guy, that can be a lot. But when you have guys that you can roll in and out, then the goal is to keep them fresh, and that's one thing Larry does a great job of.
Fourth row middles, Patrick.
Ryan, throughout camp, you've brought up being game ready quite a bit, and you've sort of touched on it at various positions, but just in general, do you feel this team is game ready 3 days out?
It's time to play, yeah. I mean, I guess we could prepare for another week, but I think they're tired of hitting each other. You know, you've heard that year in, year out going into the first game, but that's true. It's time to go play, and I think that, you know, we're as prepared as we're going to be, and now it's time to go put it on the field, and then come in the day after, make the corrections, and continue to build.
And we've talked about the secondary a lot throughout camp, but some of the younger guys, particularly Ryan, Legend, where are they in that process of filling that void kind of left by some of the guys that were part of it?
Yeah, I mean, how much they play, you know, who knows? I think that's still yet to be kind of figured out as the game goes on. But they're going to play. They're going to be in the game. They've flashed at times. I mean, they're all still working on things to get better at, but they've done good things. And consistency is the key, especially with those two guys. You know, it's like bringing home an A in math. You can do it. Now you got to do it all the time. And once they continue to do that, they're both going to be very, very good players. But you know, they're going to get their opportunity in the game on Thursday night, and when they do, they got to make them count.
Second row right, Tim.
This is my question, is the beard here to stay?
It's not.
It's not?
No, it has to go probably in the next 24 hours. I'm not going to coach with a beard. I'm too superstitious. So I'd like to. Tim, I've thought long and hard about it. My wife and I have had a conversation about it, but I'm not taking that chance. So, especially starting with a conference game, beard has to go.
Okay, cleared that up. Can you tell Josh Proctor, Seven Banks, I mean, what just has jumped out at you in this preseason? I'm not sure how much Seven has gotten to work, but I mean, what jumped out at you that these guys have played, and you do expect them to take it to another level?
Yeah, we're counting on that. I mean, look, these are veteran guys. Again, like I said, who've played in big games before. They've done big things. You think about, you know, Seven and Proc. I mean, you know, I can name probably 10 different plays that they've made in games. And so, you know, we need those guys to step up, not only leadership wise, but like you said, that veteran presence. So that's very, very important. That's going to be, you know, will only be as good as they can come along this season and show that, make plays, and have that presence on the field.
And if Marvin Harrison Jr. and Mika Buka and maybe Jaden Butler, if they played themselves into playing on Thursday night, I mean, are they in the rotation, I guess?
Yeah, Mecca and Marvin for sure. You know, Jaden, you know, possibly get an opportunity, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, when you look at the six of Chris, Jackson, Garrett, Julian, Emeka, and Marv, I mean, they're all gonna play, and they all deserve to play.
And we'll close up, third row left, questions with Doug.
Ryan, you said you told the guys it's about being 1-0, just getting through this game, but 2 years here, you guys made the playoff, both years with you as head coach. Everybody here knows the expectations and the potential and the standard here. How do you just address that at this point in the season with anybody, with your team? Because they know they need to go 1-0, but they also know this is Ohio State and you always have big goals.
Yeah, because that's, you know, you can't get anywhere down the road if you don't win this game. And so, that has to be it, and it doesn't need to be perfect. You know, it doesn't need to be, you know, anything other than just a gritty win on the road. And you put that in the bank and you continue to build. It needs to be a start. And that's all that matters on this thing. And so we just gotta stick together because you just don't know what in the first game what's coming. And so, you know, again, you know, when you go into a game, first game, you start to play in your mind, okay, this is going to happen, or I'm gonna get 3 sacks, or I'm gonna run for this, or I'm gonna catch this, or I'm gonna throw these kind of touchdowns, and rarely does it work out that way. So let's just focus on sticking together, taking it one play at a time, and we'll look up at the end of the game and see where we're at.
And again, this is like asking if you're thinking big picture when clearly you're trying to keep your guys focused. But for a guy like CJ, you know, Justin in his second year as a college football player came here and you guys made the playoff that year. He played really well. And JT Barrett, his second year as a college football player, was a starting quarterback for a team that made the playoff and won the national championship. Is there any once CJ's been the starter now, is there any context conversations you've had with him, or do you not want him thinking that way? It's just do your job.
Yeah, because that doesn't really have anything to do with him. I mean, you know, I guess you can look at what's been before, the blueprints that have been set, but, you know, if we don't take care of the football and do a good job on third down, the red zone, then none of that stuff matters. You know, you have to go play. Just because you're, you know, Ohio State, or just because you're the quarterback doesn't necessarily mean it's just gonna happen. It's not magic. You can't just throw it. I mean, Minnesota's a very, very good team. PJ Fleck's a very good coach, and it's gonna be hard to win this game. And our guys have to understand that. And they will, they do. I mean, we have their attention on this. We've been talking about this for a long time. A conference game right out of the gate, you know, young quarterback. I mean, they got it. We have their attention on this thing. So we know it's gonna be hard, and we're just gonna continue, like I said, take it one play at a time. Again, it's cliche, but it's real. Because if you worry about what's coming next, then you're gonna get distracted on what's now.
Great. Coach, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.